Top five, top five, top five.
Sitting topical, back in with another video. I'm Strange Wayne, he is Nate. We got Let 'Em Go coming out this week. So in honor of that movie, we're doing top 5 Kevin Costner movies. And I don't know about you, but not a big Kevin Costner fan until I started watching Kevin Costner movies for this list. Very underrated actor, he's very good.
Yeah.
I understand now why he was a big name in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
He was a movie star, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
One of the last movie stars.
Right.
know?
Yeah, I'm in a similar situation in that I wouldn't say that I wasn't, well, I guess it's true I wasn't a huge fan, but I wasn't not one either. I just had never really paid much attention to Kevin Costner until I watched movies for this list. And I was like, dude.
Yeah.
And I also went back and looked at his filmography, and it turns out there are a lot of movies I saw when I was younger, and I just didn't know who Kevin Costner was. So I'd seen more Kevin Costner movies than I knew, and I was like, oh, I like that movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, you could have...
Definitely sounds like we're two reformed Costner fans.
Yeah, you could cut 2 fingers off of my hand, and I could still count how many Kevin Costner movies I saw in one hand prior to this month.
Yeah.
But how does our list work?
So he'll start with his 5 and 4. I'll do my 5 and 4, 3, 2, 3, 2. We'll trade off number ones. We also have something called the zameko rule, which just means that if we both end up having the same movie on our list, but one person has it 2 spots or higher on theirs, they'll call it zameko, and we won't talk about it until we get to it on their list.
So my number 5 is going to be Silverado. Probably not on your list.
No.
It's a Western film. This town has a lot of fuckery going on in it. So these 4 cowboys, they band together because they all been fucked over to fight the evil and tyranny in the town. One of the bad guys is Jeff Goldblum.
Nice.
He's a cheating gambler who's
I've seen clips from that.
Yeah, he's banging Danny Glover's hot sister.
You're a fucking pig.
The reason why this movie's on the list is because, yes, Kevin Costner does have a lot to work off of with veteran, seasoned actors because he's in the group of 4. He's one of the good guys. But he's a young kid, you know? As the saying is, young, dumb, full of calm. He's very ambitious. He wants to fight everyone. He thinks he can take on the world. And he has that childlike presence with all these older men. And it sticks out. And you root for him just because it's different. Yeah. So for him to stand out in the movie where there's 4 protagonists, I thought it was very good. And I enjoyed it. That's why it's my number 5. My number 4 is The Untouchables.
That's my number 3.
So this is why it's so low on my list. My second favorite movie on the list.
Okay.
But based on it's from Kevin Costner and his performances and whatnot. So for me, this is Sean Connery's movie. Rest in peace. This is Sean Connery's movie.
How?
Bro, he steals every scene. He's
but
likable.
he's Sean Connery.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have Sean Connery and you have Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro plays
He's barely in it, though.
Yeah, but when he is, I loved all of his scenes. I liked him as Al Capone. Very, well,
compared to the other Capone you saw recently.
Yeah. And, that's obviously not how Capone was in real life. He didn't stutter once in the movie, but you have 2, at this time, again, 80s, 90s, movie stars were movie stars. You have 2 of the biggest movie stars of all time in this film.
Yeah, that's true.
Once maybe 1 or 2 of them go away, or one goes away, or they're not primarily shown, and then it's just Costner, and he has to go the rest of the third act on his own. You don't lose any investment. In a couple scenes, you gain more investment because the tense, the directing's very good.
Yeah.
So Kevin Costner, he kept the movie the same, if not elevating it more, based on his performance. So for him to keep up with those big Hollywood movie stars and me just not noticing it until the end, when he could shine, it's on my list for that reason. But again, he does get overshadowed a lot.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. And a lot of that is just because, the time of career, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's not a bad thing. If he was trying to outdo him, it wouldn't have made for a good movie.
You're going up against Scorsese's Golden Boy and James Bond.
Yeah.
You know?
He knew his role.
Yeah.
He played it perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I loved that movie.
Dude,
it was very
so good.
It was so good.
I do not like Brian De Palma at all.
Yeah, I don't either. But the thing is
very good director.
That movie was so well directed. And I understand that we're here to talk about Costner performances and not necessarily the directing and stuff. There were so many Hitchcockian shots in that movie It was good.
That's one reason why I don't like him, because he does a lot of stuff other directors do.
Yeah.
He watches movies like, oh, we'll make a movie just like that. Hitchcock is a lot. Like, you see a lot of his movies and Hitchcock's overlay. But the way he does stuff, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But what he did with Hitchcock scenes and performances and stuff,
yeah,
it makes sense in this movie because he knew why he was doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I love Scarface.
For the suspense, yeah.
Like, Scarface is like top 20 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
But it's not a very well directed movie because he doesn't know how to pace out a film.
You're right.
Especially a film that long. Now, this film, the only problem I had with it is in the very beginning, you could have showed that guy's bomb first and made that scene more tenser. But after that, I loved it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And, the directing, I think it brings out the performances just as much as well. But Costner does a great job in it. He 100%, he does a great job of switching between loving family man, caring about people, to being neutral when he needs to be neutral, to handling business when he needs to handle business. And those are three very different tones, and I think that he does a really good job conveying all of them. So my number 5, in terms of, how much I appreciate his character, this would be higher, but he only gets maybe 15 minutes of screen time in this whole movie. So number 5 for me is Molly's Game. That one scene on the bench alone, the whole 3 years of therapy in 5 minutes scene or whatever the exact numbers are, that's absolutely incredible. And just in that, he shows so much range, from being kind of a cocky asshole that knows he needs to apologize for being a bad dad, but doesn't want to apologize for being a bad dad and justify his actions, to just slowly seeing that chip away till he just breaks down and talk about how much crying because he wants to beat the shit out of the people that hurt his daughter. That's absolutely incredible. That character serves so much purpose in that film, considering his actions are what drove her to do all that stuff in the first place. And Costner nails it. Number 4 for me is probably a surprise for some people, but number 4 is Dances with Wolves.
That's going to be a Zemeckis.
Okay.
So my number 3 is going to be No Way Out. It is a very good movie. It's a very good performance from Costner. And it's because of the writing and the directing, I'm going to say, because he knows how to build. So the first half of the movie is kind of like a romance love triangle type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Young from Blade Runner, Kevin Costner, Gene Hackman, they're in this love triangle. Something goes awry, and it goes full-blown thriller, and it builds. The first time something happens, he's not freaking out. He knows how to control his emotions. So for him, in the first half of the movie, to go from a jealous, boyfriend to a loving, I love you, happy, to, full-blown thriller, there's a lot of range. Every emotion you can think of is in this movie. Fear, tense, action. He hits every performance from probably every movie, every genre type movie you can fit in there. So for range alone, he's in there with No Way Out. My number 2 was the Zemeckis from earlier, Dances with Wolves. Which, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably his best performance.
Yeah, objectively?
Objectively. Sure. Probably his best performance of all time. The movie, however, is long as hell and it's kind of boring as fuck.
Yes, I said it.
You don't need a movie to be 4 hours long.
No.
But this is his best performance. The little nuances he adds to the role reminds me a lot of The Revenant. It's the little stuff. And the body language, the facial expressions are more noticeable in this film from the other films where it didn't stand out. So that showed a new layer to me.
Yeah.
And objectively, this is his best movie. So.
Yeah. It's definitely a way different tone than any of his other films.
Yeah. And he directed it. So,
Yeah, which, it's impressive.
Anyone
Best Picture.
We're basing this on performances, but the title says Kevin Costner movies because it's just an easier title for YouTube.
Yeah.
That is a Kevin Costner movie. He does everything just about.
Right. I agree with you. Objectively, it is his best performance. I just don't love the movie.
That's fair.
So my number 3 was Untouchables, which we talked about already. Turns out they were slightly touchable.
Some of them.
Yeah.
The Italians loved. So
that's true. Also,
Shouts
all right.
out Italians.
I'm going to try not to talk about how much I love The Untouchables and talk more about Kevin Costner movies.
That's probably my second favorite movie on like the whole entire list. You know, like it's such a good movie.
That was an incredible movie.
Like I was pissed. I was like, I waited this long to watch it.
Yeah,
but I'm fine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. So my number 2 is actually my It's my favorite Kevin Costner movie that I watched. But he just has a performance in another movie that I liked his performance more in. So my number 2 is Field of Dreams.
That's my number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have put money this would have been your number 1. This like
Timeout.
I thought you'd be your number 1 because you have not the best relationship with your dad over the years.
Yeah.
Me, I don't have a relationship with a dad because I just don't have a dad. But just like I'm a sensitive motherfucker. I may not look it, but I saw this and I understood. The directing took me where it needed to go, and that's because of Kevin Costner's performance. And like when you get to that last scene where he's playing catch and he calls him dad, bro.
Yeah.
I was crying like a little baby.
Want to have a catch?
Yeah, this shit had me bawling, and I ain't talking about in the club or on a basketball court or a baseball field in this case.
Right.
So the directing took it right where it needed to go. The character's very likable. The character's he's real, you know? We talk about the Darjeeling Limited, the short film before it, and how much I love it because it's like you say these things that you're thinking, but you don't say them, and that like short film says them, which makes it so good. This is kind of like that. He's very like open and honest. He's like, this is how it is. I was dumb and I didn't want to be around my father. He's very truthful with himself. Right. Which is new within, it kind of feels new within films, you know, because it's like, we don't get such good dialogue like that. It makes me like the character even more. Yeah. And when something sounds stupid, like tearing up all your crops to do this, the film immediately says something about it. Yeah. It doesn't wait. It's like, well, that's a dumb decision. That's weird. That doesn't make sense. They immediately acknowledge that. Yeah. So the pacing feels good because we're not harping on that. And me as a movie lover and someone who watches film and studies film, I'm not like, well, when are they going to address this? Yeah. They address it right away. So the pacing is perfect. How self-aware the character is and made me love him. And then at the end, I built up all this love for him. Yeah. So I'm like, you played catch. You know, it's like, oh, so good. Yeah, great payoff. Best movie. One of the best movies ever, I was going to say. It's incredible. Yeah. I loved it a lot. Yeah. But easily my favorite movie on the list. Yeah, definitely my favorite movie on the list as well. I'll get to the one Costner performance I liked a little more than in a second. But yeah, I agree with almost everything that you said. I do, and like, it came out in 1989. So, like, part of this is just when it came out. To me, there were, like, a few technical issues with the movie. So, like, in terms of, like, the feels, definitely, like, way up there. In terms of, like, best movies ever, there were just, like, a couple things that... I might have got to help myself. I really enjoy it. It just kind of made me, like, that could have been done a touch better. But that doesn't mean that I didn't love it. I mean, solid 9 out of 10 movie for me. Sure. But, yeah, Costner does a great job. And I agree, like, you made a good point in that the movie is very much so like, this is how it is. It doesn't spend a lot of time trying to build up some major drama. Like, there's drama in the movie, but it's just like, it's how drama would be in real life. Yeah. Someone just shows up to your house and says, hey, you're going to lose the farm if you don't do this. There's no crazy dramatic music playing. There's no wistfully staring off in the distance for 10 minutes. There's no big monologues about how hard life is. It's literally just like, okay, the people from the bank said we're going to lose the house, but I have ghosts telling me that I need to do this thing, and you had a dream where I did it, so we're just going to do it. And it's like, it is so straightforward. It is so, like, they throw, like, just little points of conflict in there, but it never stops the train. And, like, that's really refreshing because that is not normal storytelling. And Costner's role in that is great because he's just very much so, like, I know this is insane, but I'm not going to quit. And, like, as he just kind of starts to unfold and you realize that this is all 100% just, like, a redemption story for him and his relationship with his father, like, the more you hear him, he starts talking about it more. Like, the onion starts to peel a little bit, and then it culminates in that, like, that final moment where he's no longer just, like, this kind of straightforward dude who's just doing what he thinks he has to do. He finally has that, like, you know, like, he doesn't just let him walk away without acknowledging that it's his dad. Yeah. You know? He's like, he's scared, you know? Yeah, right. Yeah.
And like the fact that they both just play along, like they don't like it's not, but like it's so good. I love that. So phenomenal film. My number one favorite Costner performance is Bull Durham.
I just don't like the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you not like about it?
I don't like Tim Robbins at all. Sarah Sarandon, not a big fan of hers in this movie either. The baseball stuff is really good. I like the baseball stuff. It's a fine movie, I guess.
That movie's hilarious. It's like
See, I didn't find it to be hilarious.
it's like a slightly like less like intentionally funny Hot Shots.
It felt kind of slapstick in it. I like his performance in it, not as much as the 5 I picked out, because he's kind of upset he didn't make it, but he lost the game.
Right.
And he keeps trying because he thinks that drive's still there, and this rookie is just pissing it away, and he's pissed off about it, which makes sense.
Right. What do you not like about that?
It's just a movie, and I like these performances.
That's so
better.
weird, because when I was watching that movie, there was so much shit that he said and that he did that I was like, oh, Strange Way would love this guy.
Oh.
And like I agree, Tim Robbins is annoying as crap,
Yeah.
but that's the character, you know. I think it's funny. I think that he does a great job of like delivering the comedy great. I think he does a great job of delivering the like suave but still sensitive, like that role. Which like I'm always gonna be drawn to like male characters in that role. Like I love that. But yeah, that movie, it's just like everyone in that film is so quirky. Everyone has their own character, which is something that like I feel like is lacking from modern movies. And we've talked about that before. How like even the side characters, like they all still have like this kind of gimmick. Like the coaches all talk funny and like, all that kind of stuff. They had the little kid pass a note that says, go fuck yourself. And then her friend just says that it says something like nice and sweet. So, yeah, you really kind of just sucked the wind out of me. I really thought that I just assumed you hadn't seen the movie. I thought you would have loved it.
No, I watched it. I mean, I guess I didn't like the quirks of all the characters. It was a little too quirky for me personally. I like Kevin Costner. I like the baseball. I like the head coach. And the umpire is a cocksucker.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean they're just kind of annoying to me. Like homeboy from Batman '89, the reporter who's like the secondary coach.
Yeah.
It's just like it was annoying. Tim Robbins was annoying. Sarah Sarandon was annoying. But good baseball on it. Like the baseball is actually decent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah. I watched all his baseball movies. For Love of the Game, great baseball, shitty movie.
Yeah. We're going to ask you something about baseball movies after we film.
All right. What do we do now? I forgot. Oh, comment. Stick a pin in me, I'm done. Tell us down below in the comments section. What's your favorite Kevin Costner movie? Are you ready to go see Let It Go? Or Let Him Go? I don't remember the title, but I do remember you need to scroll back up on this fantastic YouTube channel, hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe.
I just don't like
Pussy.